This is where you meet the gatekeepers. This is where you meet the gatekeepers. This is where you meet the gatekeepers. Bro, hear what I'm saying? Here, my standard is, does it make sense to me?
Your standard.
1 second. Yes. But 1 second. My standard is, does it make sense to me? Your standard is, do they say it's allowed?
No.
Of course it is. Because you said I gotta go. You said I gotta go through certain things. It doesn't matter. But you're not establishing truth.
What's 2 and 2?
History is not true.
What's 2 and 2?
History is not true.
What's 2 and 2?
Content over everything.
History is not true.
What's 2 and 2?
You understand?
What's 2 and 2?
Do you understand the difference between history and truth?
What's 2 and 2?
Do you understand the difference between history and truth?
What's
Are
2
you
and
that
2?
lost down the rabbit hole?
What's 2 and 2?
But your truth is subjective. What you believe, what makes
Is
sense
history
to you.
subjective?
It's history. It can be. That's why you have.
It's subjective.
Yeah, it can be. That's why you have. That's why I told you the 4 academic standards of historicity.
I follow you, man. I'm a subscriber, man. I'm a good guy,
If you're
man.
playing football, you can't turn up as Jedi, and there's the way of the play,
Right.
and you say, I don't want to play like that. You got to play the game.
What if I come on the pitch with my own style and banging 8 goals?
You got to play. You got to play by the rules.
Yeah, but
you got to play by the
yeah,
rules.
but this is the thing.
There's no rules for reality. There's no rules for my. Listen,
rules.
the way I process reality and what I believe to be true, none of you guys.
basic rules.
Alright, I beg you listen.
The basic rules.
Listen, none of you guys can tell me what the rules on reality are. You're standing on the shoulders of guys you assume to be more intelligent and more studious than you. I don't. I investigate for myself, and if it makes sense for me, then I can work with it. Yeah. That way, my identity, who I am, who I believe myself to be, is not underpinned by any one belief. Therefore, I can drop any belief at the drop of a hat and move in a new direction. You have anchored yourself to the scholarship of history. No, I don't need one. I've got 360.
Have you got a degree?
360.
Have you got a degree?
What do you think?
Brother, you're not listening to me.
Yeah, but that's
300 and...
that's a.
I beg my listen.
Can I ask?
Have you got a degree?
You hear me? I've got 360 degrees.
No. If you take a scholarship approach, it doesn't mean you have to.
not listening.
No. Listen, what the
Have you got a
mistake you're
degree?
making is you're assuming
Degree
you
doesn't...
have to take
I've
what
got
people say as a
360
whole.
degrees.
What
A
is it?
scholarship approach means you critically
Jafetus, yeah? What did you say his name was? Jafetus, yeah?
You look at the
Jafetus?
information.
Yeah? Did you say Jafetus,
How
yeah?
do you establish that your own truth
What's his name?
is the right
Josephus,
criteria?
yeah? How many
It's
degrees did
subjective,
Josephus have?
because different people have different levels of intelligence.
How many degrees did Josephus have?
Okay, do you agree different people have different
He
types
don't
of
need one.
intelligence?
So then why do I need one?
So how do you?
You're going back to a guy that don't have a degree and asking me how many degrees.
superior to another one.
If you read,
Because let me give you an example.
Because it depends
On what?
We're all trying to talk about
Exactly.
established
Exactly.
hey, that's what
That's
it's
taking
saying.
a scholarship
So,
approach. You have to take
if I
a
could
critical.
finish the
Okay,
thought,
that's fine.
and I was talking to
Yeah,
him,
you're gone.
right? The measure of intelligence in this society is not one that's compatible with our brains. Yeah, we think the standard of intelligence in this country is a linear, step-by-step, pattern recognition, recall type thing. Yeah, that's the IQ test.
Yeah.
The way we think is here, something else comes in, brings it all together, new idea. Okay?
Fresh.
If you try and judge the intelligence of a fish by the ability to climb a tree, then it will go through its life thinking it's stupid.
Yep.
Okay.
That's where we are. Right? And a degree says you've been indoctrinated out of this creative thought into a linear step-by-step.
You got degrees, right? You got degrees, right? That's why you're. And this is the thing. Remember what I said? 1 second, let me just say something. Remember what I said, yeah? When you underpin your identity with some of these notions, that's when you become weighed down with it. So now you are not going to be able to separate yourself from this degree and that school of thought. That's what it did to you.
No.
And the reason
That's
why
what it did
I
to
can
you.
tell people who have not, I'm not trying to do any digs, because if you have
You're
a
not proved
degree,
1 point, bro.
you will know
With
a
your
degree
degree.
doesn't. A degree, when you do a degree, it's not about a wrong or right answer. It's how well you can structure your criticism of the subject matter. So you can have someone that says yes, someone that says no, but a degree teaches you how to critically analyze and verify your opinion.
Listen,
This
You
is the
understand?
problem.
I took a job.
So it's not about.
I took a
it's
job.
not about.
I took a job in BT.
Okay.
BT laboratories in Martlesham Heath. Okay. I was the only person who did not have a degree out of 8,000 people there.
Okay.
Yeah. My first week, they were talking about stuff I couldn't understand.
Okay.
Right? After about a month, they were coming to me because they couldn't think outside of their training.
Yeah, I understand what you're
Their
saying.
mind
I
has been
understand what
You
you're
agree
saying.
with it then?
One
You
way.
understand, you agree?
Let me finish. Think
Can I say
another
something?
way.
Can I say something? Guys, can I say something?
But what?
But that's going
if
beside
I
the
can't
point.
say-
And there you go, back to it. See,
he's
that's
saying-
it. See that
No,
moment
no,
there?
listen-
That's it. You
listen-
drawing
listen-
back to your comfort
No,
blanket.
listen to
You
what
can't think
he's
outside
talking
of that
about.
box.
He's got experience, right? So he's saying, for example, if you come out of let's say you just come out of a university with a 3-year degree, his 3-year degree may not match up with your experience in terms of applying something to something.
not about
but
the
let me give you an example.
Have you got a degree in history by any chance?
If you have
Have you got a degree in history?
Let me
Thumbs
answer
up,
him.
thumbs up.
I know what you're trying to
So
say.
you can't do
If
that at
you-
the same time. You
if
can't
you-
talk and give me a signal at the same time.
Okay, if you
All right,
have
there
a
you
problem
go.
at work, right, and they say, how do we
Josephus
resolve this?
didn't have a degree.
You're going to have to give them an explanation
Josephus
and
is a bad
critically
example
evaluate.
because biblical
So
scholars
you
have
may
proven
not
that
have a
could have
degree,
been
but you're
tampered
applying the
with.
same
All can be
standard. You
tampered
might
with.
say,
Yeah,
Ross,
it can be tampered with.
look at this,
Okay, those
this is
two I
going to
haven't
affect
heard.
this,
Josephus
and this is going to
definitely
affect that.
approved.
So you're taking a critical approach. You don't necessarily need to have a degree to do that, but a degree tries to teach you how to do that.
What I'm
So
trying to
that's-
say to you
yeah.
is that
Evidence
degree
for the
Yeah.
crucifixion
limited
was
those
that-
people
Yeah,
from
I
finding
understand
something.
that.
Okay.
Well, I'm
I
still talking to him.
Do you agree with it though? You keep saying you understand.
But then,
Because I'm answering him.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
Keep doing that.
But then the reason why it's a bit of a subject matter, because I could say, well, there might be people with degrees who could make you look like this big. You understand? It's like conjecture. I don't know the people.
I've
who've
got
been
a
talking
degree in
about
it.
it.
and I
Where,
can't
where?
talk.
It's all subjective.
I've
If
got
we
a
look at
degree
this
in it,
world
and I can't
in
talk.
terms of
He's got a degree in
technology or like
He's got a degree in
politics or
it and he's
whatever,
talking.
we look
Historical
at
Jesus.
certain people.
Historical Jesus studies.
No, field,
Yeah.
okay, and a very one way, one particular way of looking
Yeah,
at it.
but what I'm saying is in terms of establishing something, you have to take a critical analysis approach to it. You don't necessarily need a degree to learn those standards, but this is what a degree will teach you, you understand? But that's what I'm saying, his opinion was subjective. I'm saying, what are you basing your criteria
Everything you
on?
said is subjective.
No, because you
Everything
said,
you
he
said-
said, it doesn't make sense to me. But what,
Where the Bible comes in, okay?
Yes.
Right. One of the first things that came to me was finding out the language that the Old Testament was written.
Yeah.
Paleo-Hebrew.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
When you find out how that language
Don't want
works,
to talk to me. I've got to go.
there's only one way that those words can mean.
Listen, do you not care what he's saying?
Any other
You just want to talk,
There's
but you should listen
there's
too.
no,
You don't want me to talk.
There's no metaphor.
How did you get a degree if you didn't listen?
interpretation.
Listen.
Yeah, because a word is concrete, it can only mean one thing. Okay. So when you take the Old Testament from that perspective, it can only mean one thing. That all these prophecies of Jesus don't exist.
they don't exist
None
in
of
the
them
Old
do.
Testament.
In the Old Testament.
Are you sure about
Not
that?
a one.
Do you want me
Not
to
a
show
one.
you some?
That's a different
Do you want me to
subject.
show you some?
Well,
language.
choose one.
That's a different
Okay.
subject about language.
Well, let's because obviously I don't have my Bible with me, so I can't. So let's look at say the virgin birth. Yeah.
Okay.
Isaiah 7:14.
Okay.
Can you answer me one question about that?
Yeah.
You don't
Okay.
want me to talk. I'm going to go. If you don't want me to talk, I have a degree in it. I have a degree in it, and you should let me
You're
talk.
being silly. You should listen
let
as
me
well. No one's stopping
Yeah,
you from
say-
talking.
yeah,
You're being silly, man. Don't be
Yeah, Jason,
patient.
he'll make a point, then you make your point.
Yeah, make a point, man.
Let him just make his point.
Okay. It says in Isaiah 7:14, right? A virgin should give birth to have a
And he
son.
shall be called Emmanuel.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if that's a prophecy,
Okay.
and the Most High commanded that his name should be Emmanuel,
Okay.
why is his name Emmanuel?
Because you have to understand.
No, I don't have to understand. The Most High.
Can I
No,
explain?
wait. The Most High commanded, right, he made a prophecy, yeah? Couldn't you? He made a prophecy, yeah? The Most High isn't a liar. If he says something, it comes to pass. Why wasn't he called Emmanuel? Why was he called Jesus?
Okay. Because when you read the Bible,
I did read it.
you will notice, for example, why Adam
Why?
Adam was called Adam because of God said, because I've taken you from the earth. Let me explain. Because in the Bible, the names aren't supposed to be taken literally. It's the character. In the Bible, characteristics give rise to the name, not the name gives rise to the characteristics. For example,
They were named before the characteristics.
let me give you an example. When Jacob wrestled with God, with God, what did he say? He said, because you're going to tend with God, your name is going to be called Israel. When Abraham, let me finish my point. When Abraham's name was changed from Abraham to Abraham, he said, because you're going to be a father of the generations, your name will be Abraham.
And Saul turned to Paul. We get it.
No, but listen to what I'm saying.
When was Jesus Emmanuel?
If I went to Abraham and I said, listen, if I went to Abraham and I said, father of a generation, he will know the meaning of his name. When they say Emmanuel, it means God is with us. Because God doesn't care about the specific name, but the characteristic.
Was he ever named?
No, it's about the characteristic.
All right, 1 second. Did God say that he's gonna be? Listen. Did God say the child would be named Emmanuel?
It says he will be named Emmanuel.
Yes, okay.
And
was the child named Emmanuel?
And now
Was the child named
was
Emmanuel?
not, because this is the thing.
I love that.
But this is the thing.
That's good tips. Go for it,
No,
man.
but you see, guys run away. They don't want to hear the point. But ultimately, because their point is a very simple point to be addressed. In terms of the Bible, we always see a characteristic gives rise to the name itself, not the name gives rise to the characteristic. That's why, for example, when anyone's named by God, he tells them the characteristic and say, this is why I'm going to call you this. So when God says he shall be called Emmanuel, first century Jews, for example, knew there was a deeper context behind that. So even though he wasn't literally called Emmanuel, because it said God is with us, there's a deeper context behind what Jesus was saying. So Jesus, if we look in the Bible, God always says, there's things concealed that are later revealed. And that's what first century Jews been aware of.
You make sense.
Yeah.
Can I ask something, please?
Yes.
Can I just say something?
I had some black people saying that Jesus is black.
What's my opinion on this? Yeah, go on.
Now, they said that because in the book of Revelation, it speaks about his hair being, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
According to you think he's black?
Well, in terms of the revelation, that's more of it's not a physical description of him. It's more, I think, revelation is very, what's the word? It's like a vision. So it's very symbolic. Right. There's a lot of symbology. So, because it also says Jesus has a tongue of a sword coming out of his mouth. We know that's not a literal characterization. So in terms of Jesus being black, I know he was very dark skinned, but if he was like me, I couldn't say he was like me, but he would have been a very dark skinned person.
But not black.
Well, no, I wouldn't.
Because they saying that.
Yes. Well, because if you speak to Hebrew Israelites, they'll say, all the Jews.
But the Hebrew Israelites are black?
Yes.
Who are they?
Well, I mean, you would have
PaperBoy, can I just say one thing? Finish off. I just want to finish off. We're talking about historical Jesus studies. And basically, Jedi was just saying he doesn't believe Jesus existed. And what PaperBoy was saying and what we were trying to get across is the certain basic academic standards. And you have to have these first standards. And if you don't have these first standards, you can't find the truth. That's all we were saying.
I don't think it's even necessary to have a degree to know that Jesus existed. Tacitus speaks about it. Tacitus is a very respected Roman historian. How can you argue with that? Jedi's argument is just that, there's no physical evidence.
It's very subjective.
Well, what kind of evidence do you need?
For example, the Jedi standard is like, for example, if you have a cake baker, and this person will be like, I make the best cakes. Everyone else will say, I make the best cakes. It's very subjective. Unless you get independent people to go and test each one and say, actually, that one's the best cake. Because everyone's going to think their cake is the best cake. And there's no standard. It's very subjective. And that's why you have kind of an academic standard so people don't fall into the fallacy of believing their own hype, which is what Jedi is doing. Because it doesn't make sense to him, it can't be true. And there's probably a lot of things in this world that don't make sense to him.
Yeah, for example, when I was a baby, how babies were born didn't make sense to me. I was 4 years old, but now it does. So it's kind of it's a weird standard. It's a weird standard.
But you've got to be willing willing and open to the evidence.
Exactly.
He's not willing. It's not open.
I didn't get the fact that, did you know when you were born? I'm like, what are you going to do that for? I agree with you. You cannot be absolutely certain about anything. I can't be absolutely certain I was born in 1983. But the evidence that we have, like my birth certificate, contemporary evidence I have through photographs, I can make a decision, a reasonable decision I was born on that day. But I can't be absolutely certain. There has to be an element of faith.
So we have basic facts about Jesus.
Yes.
And they're incontrovertible. And the academic world generally accepts them, that Jesus died. That's a fact in history.
Yes, exactly.
And to argue against that, you've got to
prove the point that everything is a lie. Then you can't believe anything at all. You can't really trust anything.
That probably explains why he's so angry all the time.
You can't really trust anything. How do you prove that Julius Caesar exists? How do you prove that Alexander the Great?
God bless you, bro.
Jason, is that your table?
Yeah.
Can I borrow it for about? I just want to do a presentation on SoCo, but I've got a laptop, but I need to just.
Use the same.
Okay.
That's false labeling. By saying everyone else.
Listen to what I'm saying. So I'm saying.
Don't say everyone else. Say you.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. It's not everyone
In terms
else.
in terms of most people
No, you can't
who take
say
an
most
academic approach, you
Okay.
can't say that they're taking the linear approach because
Why can't I say it? Why can't I say it, though?
academic standards will teach you to scrutinize what you don't have to agree with the information, but it says you have
Can I
to
not
just,
scrutinize? Can I not scrutinize information without your academic way
Okay,
of doing it?
so in terms of the
Because by
historicity-
academic, you mean there's a step-by-step attuned practice that has been written down that you have learned, of how to deal with information.
Yes.
And I'm saying there's more than that way to deal with information.
And
so
how is
therefore, that doesn't make you more right or make me wrong, because I don't want to go through your avenue of how to process information, because I have my own that I have refined over years of living.
But then how do you establish that truth? For
You
example,
don't establish truth. None of you. Look, if you're going to tell me that Jesus has been established as fact,
okay.
half these religions on the planet wouldn't exist.
Okay, no, that's two different things.
But that's what Jason is saying. Hold on, one second.
the crucifixion has been established as a fact. Whether he was God, that hasn't been. That's something different. You understand? Because
That's a lie. Just because you believe it.
No.
That's a lie.
Anyone can even go on Google right now
has been
and say, "Is
established as a
Jesus a
fact."
real person?" They'll say every scholar, like any academic person, will say Jesus existing is a fact.
Any
You
academic
understand?
person. So is there any academic people that would say?
Because I can ask a homeless
Brother,
man. They'll
brother,
say no.
brother,
What is that value of
brother.
the homeless person? That's what I'm saying. An
Nah, I hear you.
academic approach. You
Is there any
understand?
academic people that would say that Jesus didn't exist?
You might get a fringe minority.
But you said any. A fringe
I said
minority.
you might. I'm not that I'm aware of,
All right.
but you might.
Let me
There's a possibility.
have you heard of breakthrough sciences?
Go on.
Yeah? Have you heard of breakthrough sciences?
Well, some
Breakthrough theories.
Yes, yeah. Okay.
Revolutionary ideas.
Yeah.
Ideas that come from a whole different angle than what the majority are using as the standard. Is that not how we progress? By people thinking outside of what the masses think and thinking differently. So therefore, if you say that you can now not say all of academics thinking your way, maybe that smaller group of academics actually may be onto something.
But you're
dismissing them,
you're
because they're a
completely
minority.
different thing. The reason why, even if you come with a breakthrough theory, there's still a methodology behind it, which most people who come out with theories is peer reviewed. You understand?
Yeah, but
So
who controls the peer review? Who's at the head of these establishments that do the peer reviewing? Bro, this is where you get political history.
No, because you're trying to mischaracterize what it is.
It's the truth.
No,
it's the truth, bro. It's the truth because I know what I was taught in school.
Okay.
Yeah, as fact.
Okay.
Yeah? I know what I was taught in school as fact, and I know what my own studies have shown me.
Yeah.
And you can't tell me that the establishment have any interest in pushing what I now know as being the mainstream truth. They don't. They push a narrow narrative that fits their agenda. Yeah. And these are the same people at the top that deal with the peer reviews. That's why it's going to the curriculum on my lap at the desk. So if you go
from university. Let me give you an example. If you do a PhD, do you know what they tell you? They say find a subject that interests you, go and research it, write a paper on it. That's it. They didn't say, okay, you have to write a paper on this subject and you have to follow these standards. That's why when you have various levels of academia from school, yes, I can agree with you that sometimes they push you down a very narrow structured thing. Hold on. You go further down the educational system to a PhD.
So you're getting your degree, yeah?
Yes.
So when you get your degree, you're reading information.
Yes.
Yeah. Some information is preferred than others, yeah. Because the information has to. If what you're reading goes against what you're being taught, then you're reading the wrong literature.
That's how you get breakthrough theory.
Hear what I'm saying?
That's how you get breakthrough theory.
When you're trying to get your degree, you're not going to get a degree like that. You're not. 1 second. Okay. You are not, because now you're conflating two things. Yeah, you're conflating two things. I'm talking about you getting your degree. Yeah. You don't get your degree by disproving what's in the degree, what's in the syllabus. You don't get a degree by that, do you? Do you?
Yes, you can.
So you get a degree by disproving what you're being taught.
If you can factually base a degree is basic. Like most people just do a degree and kind of just go to agree with whatever's established. But it's like the people who are actually at the top of their degrees are the people that challenge the status quo, but they can back their talk. And that's why you have certain people that will come with the breakthrough theories. So you might have kids in university coming out with groundbreaking things because they can think outside the box, but you just have to back their talk.
When you're talking about groundbreaking, are they disproving theories or are they just going into a new realm of...
Yeah, you can't just subjectively say, oh, I think because of this. You have to back your talk.
What I'm saying is, are they disproving theories?
Yes.
Yeah, as in, for instance, you go and do, I don't know, science.
Yeah.
And then you disprove...
Let's say,
you disprove...
Let's say, something causes cancer.
But you disprove the whole science of the way that the science is moving. You're not going to get a degree in that because what you've done is you've just collapsed the whole subject on itself. So you're not going to get a degree in it. You may become a leader. You may become what you've done is revolutionize the way that people think about it. So it's now become something totally different because what you believe to be true is no longer true. That is different from what I'm trying to. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not talking about you go in there and you say, this guy, he got that equation wrong and really it's that, but you're still staying in line with what the subject is. If you go against the subject, then you still get a degree in that.
Yeah, you can. Like I say, that's why degrees, most people don't. And that's why some people can say, okay, degrees make people think linear. Because so many people go to university, it becomes like a factory line where it's like you come in, you go along the conveyor belt, you don't really do that. But back in the day, when less people, for example, went to university, you can spend more time with your lecturer and engage. Because it's all about critical thinking, like how to challenge what has been established. Because that's how society progresses. So that is the underlying principle.
So what you're saying is what I'm doing right now is how society progresses.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with thinking outside the book, but it's being able to establish your claims rather than just say, okay.
But it's the thing that the things that you're giving me and taking as established. I got a problem because in your academic world, that to you is established, but in reality, it's just not. Do you know what I mean? Because at the same time, it's always going to be labelled with a theorem or an idea or a notion or rare, and it's always able to be disproved where it's not factual.
But it's
lacking imperative evidence.
Yeah. But it's like me saying to you, bruh, I think the inside of the moon's made of cheese.
Yeah.
I just think that.
Yeah.
Are you going to be like,
that's different
why?
That's different. Why you're just making a claim. I'm not making a claim. You got to tell me what you think the moon is made of, and
based
then
on evidence,
and then you have to prove it to me, which you won't be able to do.
But then your position,
you can't prove. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So therefore, Even if I think it's made of cheese, cool, that might be a ridiculous claim.
Yeah.
You can't either disprove that it's made of cheese, and you can't prove what it's made of.
Yeah.
And I would challenge anybody to prove what the moon is made of.
Yeah. So obviously
You
that's
can't.
why we can't empirically prove, but we can only take.
But how much theories are based on what the moon is and what we are and what the universe is made of?
Yeah.
But we can't prove it though.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm.
So
trying
this is why you can be walking down the wrong route with this.
Yeah.
Because you start kneeling, you start standing on things that you think are fact.
Yeah.
And you think, okay, this is the surface. This is what I'm standing on. This is what reality is.
Yeah.
But in fact, it's all theory.
Yeah. Of course.
It's
That's
all
why I said we
theory.
can't empirically prove it, but we can try and take a logical conclusion as to what is most likely to have happened.
So now that logical conclusion, depending on who's the driving force of it, can be misdirected, can be coerced, can be contaminated, can be polluted with somebody's agenda.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
So this is the danger.
Yeah, and that's why I say
this is why history in itself. We take a lot of things. Somebody says, "Oh yeah, they went and they found the lost city of Alexandria."
Yeah.
And for 4 to 5 years, sorry, family. And to 4 to 5 years, they didn't release any evidence of what they found there.
Yeah.
Just fact.
Okay.
And then they said, "Oh, we're going to let you lot see what was in the lost city, underwater, drowned, submerged city of Alexandria." So then they start showing you, "Oh, look, we found this and we found this artifact." And every sculpture that had a face on it had its nose missing.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? This is not a natural occurrence.
Yeah.
Yeah. This to me, my instincts are telling me that they're playing with what they're showing us as reality.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of what we deal with, especially at this academic level, is basically a finely honed, finely tuned net to get people ensnared into thinking in a way that they want us to think. And all the time we're looking at these people as, oh, these are the academics, these are the bright minds, and and it's the wrong type of intelligence, because all they're good at is regurgitating or working under a certain parameter or certain set of laws to govern the way they think. Hence why I'm telling you, you can't prove to me that Jesus existed. You can't prove to me that Jesus was crucified. And you're saying you can. And this is why it's a ridiculous thing.
You can't.
That's what history's done.
Yeah,
to
you can't empirically prove something. But like I say, that's why I say it goes back to what is the most logical or most likeliest thing to have happened.
That's not good enough to wage your soul on.
Well,
bro.
obviously we can.
Most likely.
Yeah, we can't.
You're not thinking of what's the most likely. You're thinking about.
We can't get a time machine and go back to the time, so we can't prove it in that sense. So then that's why we have to, like, if something happens, like in terms of the world, or when we watch the news, or even if I talk to you about like Mansa Musa or some of these old people, we know the stories. We don't be like, right, I don't believe this guy existed. People will be like, yeah, this is what was one of the greatest black people that ever existed.
I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
It depends. Like I say,
did Osama bin Laden exist?
Did he exist? I would suggest he did. We saw him on the cameras.
We saw him, so he existed.
Yeah.
Where is he now?
I don't know.
History would say he was killed.
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay.
History would say that he lived.
Okay.
Who's Bill Osmond?
Who?
Bill Osmond.
I don't know. You tell me.
Okay, so we're now talking about the same guy.
Okay.
Yeah? Known by a different name with a whole different storyline.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying to you?
But then you've got the information to know who he is. Just
no, I don't. But
so
here's the thing. I don't. If you ask me who, do I know if Osama bin Laden existed? I'd say no.
Okay.
I have no evidence. I have no proof that this man existed as who they say they.
Bill Osmond, the one that shot Kennedy. President Kennedy.
Yeah.
Bill Osmond, the one that shot President.
No.
Oh, I've forgotten his name.
Another fictitious character.
Oh, John Osmond.
John Osmond or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The point is, when you get a character that's given to you by history you got to understand is the empire's narrative.
Yeah. But that's
all it is.
But that's why.
No, but that's all it is.
Yeah, but that's why you have, in terms of historicity, the theory of multiple attestation. The more independent sources you can have about something, the more likely it is to be true.
I know.
You understand? Because if it's from one source, of course, it's very possible that they can influence.
And at that time, you don't believe in things like I said to you earlier, controlled opposition, where I could implant somebody that you would expect to be saying something totally different, but is agreeing with me.
This is
it's a known tactic to control the minds of. 1 second. It's a known tactic to control the minds of masses.
Yeah.
Oh well. If that's true, then if that's true, how come there's a white guy? BNP. If we're racist, how come we got an Asian guy in our ranks? It's easy.
But then who was trying to control the masses in terms of the crucifixion of Christ?
The person that writes history. Yeah. Those that see fit to perpetuate the story of all religion. Yeah. There is control behind that.
Yeah, but that's
There
what I'm
is
saying.
a desire for
If
control
you
behind
have
it.
multiple sources here, there, and there, it's very unlikely, especially with the early
Where did
Christians.
it start?
In terms of
Where
them,
did it start? Okay,
them-
if you find the first, what you got to do is find the first source. This is another thing. You can't find the first source of the stuff you believe in. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
Who is the first person to document anything to do with what you believe in?
Well,
in terms of your spirituality?
It'll be the Gospels.
Okay,
So
it'll be
the Gospels weren't.
So we're
just-
dealing with academics, yeah?
Yes.
We're dealing with academics.
Yes.
And then we're going to use these academics to prove an invisible man that created everything.
Okay, in terms of the Gospels, they were written in different locations, attesting to the same thing. So this is why there was no one person that controlled the writing of the Bible.
How do we know that these things were written in different locations? How do we know factually? How do we know that?
Well, in terms of, we just look at the earliest information and we see how they were written, or in terms of like a lot of the manuscripts found in different locations and stuff like that. So
is that all I've got to do?
You can't. Like
that all
I
I've got
say,
to do?
unless
Is
you get
things
unless
in
you,
different
unless you
places?
get a time machine back to the time.
Exactly.
That's why I said you
I'm
cannot,
agreeing with you.
Yeah, you can't empirically. But that's why I say to you, you have a standard.
It's all about faith. So history doesn't actually prove anything.
Of course, no one has made the
That's what
claim
I
that
said.
you can empirically prove
You can't
history.
prove anything with
but
history.
history
It's a waste of time.
Can you
But
look
that's
at
your soul.
you-
You're dealing with your soul.
No, but what you're
Yeah?
saying is that therefore anything historical is unreliable.
Yeah.
But then I'm saying if you take an academic,
unless
if you
you
take an
saw it for
academic,
yourself, and even if you saw it for yourself, even that's unreliable.
so basically Jedi saying you can't believe anything as anything because if people saw something,
you?
they could have been deceived. So all you can believe is yourself, and even
Is that
yourself
wrong?
can be deceived.
Exactly, that's true.
So
I'm
then,
saying that.
so there's no such.
So what do you know? What do you know?
How do we?
What do you know then?
How do we?
What do you know?
How do we establish reality?
What do you know? What do
According
you know?
to- no,
we
but
got
how-
different. We
yeah.
got different methodologies
Yeah.
to establish what is reality.
Okay,
Yeah.
you-
For
what's
me,
yours?
your reality is something that you're trying to make rigid and make solid. I know that reality is flexible. So
Okay.
what you deem to be real today is not real tomorrow.
Yeah, but I try and take
But
it-
I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
You understand?
Okay.
So I don't feel like I need to have these pillars of the academic. This is what and this is that and try me and verre and believable and embarrassment and all these things are telling you how to process information, how to see what is real, how to see what is false. Yeah? But you have your own guidance system inside yourself that you should be tuning into. But you've tuned into the words of other historians and now you're sitting on that as that being the basis of your reality.
But the thing
You
is,
understand?
in terms of
so
like-
what I'm saying is empower yourself by believing what you deem like you can't be programmed to believe in a certain way.
Alright,
Because
but what I'm
you
trying to-
already go against your books by believing in an invisible spiritual force that
Okay.
created everything consciously.
So-
you already go against academia.
Okay, so
Because academia goes towards atheism.
Okay.
Like when you follow it through, yeah.
But obviously that's where faith comes in. But that's two different things. What I'm trying to say is, in terms of, like for example, the Gospels, there's many claims in it. So like historians, archaeologists, they try and investigate some of the claims. So for example, the Gospels talk about Pontius Pilate. In 1961, they found a plaque with his name on it.
Okay.
Until then, no one could prove
Could
it
that be
existed.
planted there?
Again,
Could that plaque could've-
everything's planted.
I'm just asking.
Yeah, but what I'm
bro,
saying, if
bro,
it's
bro.
okay,
No,
if
no,
it-
no, slow
if-
it down, slow
if-
it down.
okay,
You've made a claim.
alright, let me
They
respond to
found-
that. If
they-
it's carbon dated and it
dated-
goes back to that time, yeah, well,
Brother,
it could be. But
carbon
again,
dated.
how do we logically approach something in terms of when we find things?
As a
Everything could be
historian,
planted.
you
Okay.
understand that carbon dating is problematic at best, yeah, and can yield very varying results, yeah.
Okay.
And there's enough information and there's enough studies to go against the current standard of carbon dating that you could say, if you was being intellectually honest, do you know what? We can't rely on carbon dating to prove anything.
Well, I wouldn't say it's non-existent in terms of its reliability, because normally, for example, carbon dating can be like within 100 years or so. So again, like I say, if we
Sorry?
approach, if
Say-
like the time range, so if they say they carbon date something, the span is about 100, 150 years.
That's not true.
So what is it? It's about 100, 150 years. So then they go for the median range of carbon dating something.
Okay.
So in terms of like,
What
that's
about the
why I say-
larger? I say that's one end of the spectrum. What about the larger disparities then? Because like you saying that okay, it can be accurate. What's the rate of inaccuracy?
Oh,
How can you tell that?
I don't know what the rate of inaccuracy is.
How can you tell that?
But
How would you be able to tell that?
well, again, if you were to look at carbon dating, then you would have to take an academic approach to see like, how many things have they carbon dated? How reliable is it? Can we carbon date something like, let's say this tree? We know this
You know
tree.
it's been done, right?
What?
You know it's been done. They carbotate a live tortoise.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll let you go and look at it. All I'm saying is, look, all these things that we deem to be like cornerstones of reality, like yes, carbon dating. This will help me to tell how old something is. That's all faulty. It's all faulty. And when you delve into that even more, then you can see the disparity and the dishonesty that's in that science in itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then
it's not enough for you to be sure about the age of something.
Yeah,
bro.
but what I'm trying to say is like it's like being in a court case. You have the defense, and you have to try and bring as much evidence to support your evidence, your position as possible. It doesn't necessarily mean we can conclusively prove something, but based on like that's how we reason and how society progresses. You understand? Rather than someone just
not
like
how society
like for example,
it's how a secret society.
Yeah,
progresses.
but if let's say you're walking home, someone like robs you or something, and you say right, it's that guy. Like how do you prove it's that guy? Do you know what I mean? So all we can do is
he took something off me,
Yeah.
and I can describe what it was he took.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you find it, then
Yeah,
But,
exactly.
but more often than not, you can't actually prove it. So then it becomes a trial and a battle between two perspectives and who tells a better story.
Yeah.
And even then at the end, when someone says guilty or not guilty, nobody but those two people
of course.
usually know whether justice was served or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just the truth.
Of
That's
course.
it. So it's
yeah.
what
So
we're dealing with.
let's say, for example, for argument's sake,
Like if you
cannot
caught me red-handed
Yeah.
on camera and you can prove that likeness is exactly like me,
Yeah.
and then you've got physical. I would say that's close to physical evidence. You've seen it. If you saw it for yourself, you can say I saw it.
Yeah.
That's you attesting. I saw it. Now you could have been misled in what you saw. Fair dues, but at least you can say I saw it.
Yeah.
Not someone said they saw it 2,000 years ago.
Yeah.
And these other people said, and look, someone in France said that that it was true, that he did see it. PaperBoy did see it. This is what you're giving me. Oh, someone in that other country wrote about it, and in 1997 they even found a writing that doesn't prove that it happened.
Okay.
Anybody could have provided that Pontius Pilate little
but that's why
thing that you saw.
But that's why I keep
the
saying
Dead Sea Scrolls were found where?
Quran.
Where? Just randomly by who?
Some archaeologists.
It wasn't an archaeologist.
This is a great example of crystallized intelligence and fluid intelligence.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're limited by you've got cognitive dissonance, you're limited by your ability to
Okay,
think
but this is
outside.
again
heavily drill.
But then, in terms of society, in terms of how we progress, like for example, even the sciences, it's built on like accumulation of knowledge.
There's a live example of everything you're talking about in the past right now.
Okay.
All the sources and
but-
real events
but-
that people
but-
saw with 9/11. You don't check all that.
There's a saying, but there's a saying.
Man.
Do you know? But do you there's a saying. Do you know the difference between insanity and a genius? Do you know the differentiation between the two?
Is that science?
No,
that
no,
someone's,
no.
One second.
Yeah.
Is that science that someone's...
It's a saying.
Bro, yeah. But what I'm saying is...
What's the point of it?
Huh?
What's the point of it?
So the difference between calling someone insane or a genius is success. Because if you say, okay, I can
Success
jump,
based on
I can jump from this tree to that tree, they'll be like, right, this guy's insane. If I do it, they'll be like, this guy's a genius. So it's proving your case. That's why a genius and an insane person, they're basically the
So
same
you're the
side.
insane person then?
Same side of the.
But you're telling me that Jesus exists and you can't
No,
prove
but
it.
the thing is, what I'm
And
saying,
you ain't gonna
I
show
can-
me. You see what you said? Exactly what you said.
Yes.
Oh, he's insane.
Yeah.
And then he does something,
Yeah.
and you see it for your own eyes, you're like, he's a genius.
Yeah.
No, he's insane. And then someone says, well, look, I've got a writing from 2,000 years ago that said that he can jump from tree to tree. And someone in France says, yeah, they heard about a guy that can write. Yeah, I heard. And in 1999, someone found a plaque of the guy that was in the park watching someone jump from tree to tree. That's not evidence, bro. You even said it yourself, yeah? By seeing it for yourself,
Yes.
you can then change your mind and your perspective.
But even you said you can see something and
Exactly.
So according to you, there's no standard of reality.
What did I say? I said that is a more reliable thing than listening to the attestations of somebody in the past.
But then if you
that
saw
could be
something,
manipulated.
yeah,
If you're just reading text.
it could be.
Your ego, from what you want to find,
Okay.
tells you that you're reading the thoughts of somebody that existed a long time ago.
Okay.
But the truth is, it could have been written yesterday.
Yeah, but then this is why we have some.
So then where's...
These are like a
we
collection
have
of selected
we have the
events.
fallacy of an argument from ignorance, because you're saying, that's why I say, like for example, if I can say the inside of the moon is made from cheese, no one can disprove me. I could actually be right.
Yeah.
How many of you actually think, oh, I could be right? None of you. But how do you know I'm not right? You understand? We would have to then look
That's
at
the same
science.
with you telling me it's made of this
But
or
then-
that or whatever.
For me to establish at least some credibility, I would have to bring some form of evidence that may make you to think, okay, this guy has a point.
Do you know what the moon is made of?
What is it made of?
Do you know?
I don't know what it's made of.
What's the earth made of?
What is it made of?
I'm asking you, do you know what the earth is made of? Bring me evidence of what the earth is made of, scientifically.
Okay.
You can't. And you're here, you've got an opportunity.
Okay.
The very earth you are standing on, you can't tell me what it's made of. Am I right or wrong?
So if I said the earth is made of cheese. That's it.
Bring the cheese.
Bring the cheese, innit? That's it.
He's asking
Bring
for
the cheese,
evidence.
yeah.
That's why when
where
I
is
said
it, though?
we
You don't
talk
have
about
it. You
historicity, you have to bring your evidence.
But
And
you're
that's
not
why
bringing me
people are
evidence.
bringing.
You're bringing me the statements of other men.
He may not like the evidence, but I am bringing.
It's not evidence,
so,
brother.
Again, okay. If I
It's not
say
evidence.
if I say the center of the cheese, the Earth is made from cheese, or the moon, or whatever.
Bring me some.
People want some
Bring
sort
me
of
some.
standard of evidence.
Let's go.
So that's
Let's
why
go
when
to
we-
where you saw that and show me.
But how can you prove it factually? In the
You
same
can't.
way, history. But then that means I could be right. Do you agree?
I have no idea. I don't have a
Could I be
stance.
right if I say
I don't
the
have a
inside of
stance.
the Earth is made of cheese?
It'd be you for you to prove that.
It'd be what?
Hypothetical.
But I could be right though.
You could say whatever, it don't matter.
But I'm saying I could be right.
You could, and you could tell 20 other people, and then 50 people might believe that. And then all of a
Okay,
sudden it is
so
made
then
of cheese.
to establish truth, we then have to have a criteria.
Yeah,
of-
prove it. That's what
Exactly.
we're all on that level.
Yes.
But you're not doing that.
So then that's why when I talk
You're not
about the
doing that.
historicity of Jesus, you have four main things.
But there's no
If
proof.
you look for commonalities in terms of history, in terms of when stories have
How
been,
many times has that been rewritten?
how has what been rewritten?
The sources are talking.
No, but they're independent. Yeah, but they're independent sources.
Who says
Who
they are?
says they're independent? Who claim they're independent?
Again, this is like we're going in.
No one's independent.
Yeah,
man.
but the thing is, when you go into like arguments of ignorance, it's like, how can you prove it? How can you be sure? That's why I go to the cheese example, because that's the very the perfect example.
They
of,
call it arguments of ignorance. And the joke,
Arguments
the joke is, it's actually the argument of the enlightened.
Yeah.
That's the funny thing. You've
Okay.
coined it,
Yeah.
but what it does is what they're telling you. That's the argument of ignorance here.
See?
That is our barrier of cognitive dissonance here, and we don't approach it because it's just ignorant. It's an argument.
what he's trying
But really,
to say is thinking outside the box is cognitive. I'm not disagreeing. You
You're not-
can't-
are you thinking outside the
I'm
box?
saying you can think.
Are you thinking outside
I'm
the
saying
box?
I said to you like in university, you can think outside the box. You just have to back your talk.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay, I like that.
There's nothing.
I like
Look,
that.
there's
Can't
nothing
argue
wrong
that.
with coming with a different, because that's how some of the, like even if you look at technologies, your like Amazons or your Facebooks or whatever, these guys were like maybe in school they'll thought of.
Do you know
as
a lot of
in-
archaeologists?
Not personally.
So you never will get first-hand a chance to see any of these artifacts that they dig up before it's dug up.
Well,
You were never really going to get that chance.
No.
You don't find that strange.
well, if you wanted to, I'm sure you can contact people.
You're a
and-
historian. You should have an interest in that. To see these places that they say they find these things that cement what you believe to be true. Because all it has to be is written in a paper that Mr. Flatcap and Mr. Blue Jacket and Mr. Dreadlocks have all in their lab certified that it was 10,000 years old and we're backed by the Institute of blah blah blah. You'd read it in a paper 10 years time and you'd be like, yeah, that's true, yeah, okay, yeah, certified.
Yeah, but-
peer review,
but the-
yeah,
but
cool.
the thing is what he's
That's
saying,
all it
for
takes
example,
to
we-
control your reality of the world. But you can't even prove to me, we're giving an analogy about the sun and the moon and what the moon's made of. You can't even tell me what the earth is made of.
Okay. So in terms of
Somebody bring me some magma from this core. From this core of ours. Bring me some magma. Let me get some magma from this core. What's the deepest hole that we've ever drilled in the earth?
okay.
And can you substantiate that they actually did that? What do you know about reality? This is what I'm trying to. So like we're having a meeting of minds, yeah? What we're trying to say is to stand on, to go and get a degree in history has definitely already shaped your mind to perceive things.
I don't have a degree in history, by the way.
You know, was you front end? What
didn't
you
say
got?
I did.
Oh, what did you have? What you got a degree in? I've been calling you a historian the whole time.
I don't know why you've been calling me that. That's why I had to make it
shit.
clear.
Oh,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
bad. Okay, cool. Okay, cool.
I'm not a historian.
Okay, cool.
I just like obviously like when
Everything I said, I take that.
okay. Yeah, that's why like when that's the approach that I take.
See that? It's so easy.
Yeah.
It doesn't define me.
Then hold on, he's
That's what
made
I
a
mean.
presumption.
No, you know why?
Why?
Because I asked you. You're gonna see.
I didn't say
Yeah, I said give me a thumbs up. You was
didn't
talking.
refute
I said
at
you,
any
have you
point.
got a degree? You said yeah. I
Yeah,
said
a degree,
I bet it's
yeah,
in
exactly.
history. And then I said is it in history? And you said I'm talking. I said what? You can't multitask. You can't talk and give me a thumbs up,
Yeah.
and you gave me a thumbs up.
You said that,
I thought
about the degree, and I,
I
said
thought
yes.
the thumbs up was for a degree in history.
No.
Sorry.
See,
So this
that's
whole
why
time,
you
I've
have
been
to take
saying
an academic approach.
Yeah, okay. The whole time I've been saying blah 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 blah, thinking
That was
that
the
you're
primary source that it went wrong.
yeah.
And that translation of primary source.
Right
went
there on
wrong.
the spot. Didn't even
there.
need someone 2,000 years ago to interpret
Right there,
it.
that
See
went
how
wrong.
easy it
That
is.
went wrong.
Yeah,
Little tiny-
yeah,
Woo!
exactly.
Little
But
tiny
then that's
margin.
why.
Hey, I like this guy. I like this guy.
But this is why you have to have multiple sources. Otherwise,
I
it's
was
very
there as well, and I
unlikely.
thought that was happening.
Yeah, see?
but
We
I
all
agree.
misread
You weren't
it.
there. You weren't there before, so he's lying. He's what you're talking about.
All right, cool.
Because you weren't there, he was there.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, yeah.
There was somebody else there that did think the same as me.
Who was that?
Another guy, because we were talking about
Bring your
someone said-
evidence.
This guy, so I like this.
But-
Let me bring my evidence.
But anyway, just to conclude, like obviously it depends on what kind of approach you take to kind of history. Do you take a methodological approach? Because in terms of logic and society, that's all we can do. Some people will think that every information is subjective, but then you cannot establish a certain truth. For example, I was saying over there, it's like if you can make good spaghetti, he can make good spaghetti, so can he. Everyone's going to say they make the best spaghetti. How do we assess which one is the best spaghetti? Because everyone has their own opinion.
Why does it matter?
Right. So whoever.
Why
wrote
does
the
it
book-
matter? Well, in terms of establishing it as standards, it should matter.
Well, why does that matter? Establishing a standard.
Why? Because that's how society progresses. For example,
Well,
in sciences,
that's the
it's
framework
based
that
on
society
in
has
terms
put
of
on you.
yeah, but in terms
Based on,
in terms of
oh, this is good,
in
this
terms
is
of
bad.
science,
This is good, bad.
but
Reset.
if you use a mobile phone, that's
I might think-
as the science behind that has developed over time and time. So people would go, let's say, to the previous person rather than saying, I don't trust these people. Let me try and redefine science from the beginning. We kind of take peer-reviewed work, we look at it and try and expand on it. That's how society progresses. That's why we now live in the information age. We have cameras and whatnot. People don't say, actually, I'm going to disregard all the previous work on.
Hang on, people do.
Yeah.
Lots of creationists or
Yeah, but
there's
in
people here denying the
Yeah.
reality of other people's experiences.
But-
This place is full of them.
Yeah, but we're
Religion's like the spaghetti, right?
Yeah.
All the different religions
Yeah.
have different spaghetti.
Well, that's
Someone
spaghetti,
said mine's
yeah.
the best. Someone
But-
said it's the best.
Yeah,
Someone
but
said they're the best, but they're not.
obviously
Spaghetti,
religion.
I like invisible spaghetti.
Religion, in a sense, is faith-based, right? But we're
mean
talking
some now.
about we're talking about the crucifixion of Jesus
I know, but we're
and
still
establishing
around
that.
his version. Like, I've got the version, he's got the version.
Yeah.
And then mine's back, his is back. But
Yeah.
now I'm the best,
Yeah.
he's the best. We go out different ways and it
Yeah.
perpetuates.
Respect each
But then,
other's.
but all I'm saying is then how do we establish like a criteria?
Why do we need to?
Yeah, this is the thing. Like, because when we say we establish, who's we? Because usually the minority of that we never get a look in.
Yeah.
So it's not ever really we.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
always the big I am, the
one with the
rulers.
loudest voice.
Come on, that's all it is.
Well, in terms of establishing a standard, because then it helps people progress. Like,
and it helps disprove other
like-
things
like
that
for-
could be reality.
like-
That's the thing.
Hang on, it helps people progress. Is progression good?
Of course it is.
Into where?
It depends on what
The direction.
Well,
It
let me-
depends if it's a moral thing
Let me
or
give you
a scientific
let me
thing.
give you an example.
Yeah.
Do you think that the Europeans invading the Americas, that was progression from a European point of view?
Yeah.
From the point of view of the indigenous peoples
But
there
then that-
who are living in
but-
harmony with
but,
their environment, do you think that was
but
progression?
that's a moral thing, and I would kind of put that
it's
to the
it's
side.
a physical reality of
Yeah,
it
but
as well.
because I can argue if the people themselves didn't want to be invaded,
Okay,
then it's a moral
okay,
point. Because if they think they're doing something on behalf of,
but it always
because
goes to moral. It
if
always
you
gets
have
to a moral point.
if you have
though.
self-determination, then people should have the right to self-determination. So it depends on what kind of moral.
It always ends up in a
Exactly, that's
moral.
what I'm saying.
It
That's why I
always
said,
ends up with morals.
But in
Always.
terms of science,
Always ends up in morals.
is a different aspect.
It's always about
in terms of
morals.
imposing a view on
Science,
someone.
abortion,
Yeah, it's
stem
a-
cell research,
Yeah.
this, that, detection of this, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
They all have moral implications
Yeah.
that you may choose to ignore, but
Okay.
they exist.
But for example, if you have a headache or something, or you're ill,
Yeah.
and someone says,
How many puppies have to die for me to take that tablet?
But,
Yeah.
but he's
Is it
still going to
progression?
take it.
Yeah,
Is it progression though?
But are you gonna take
Because
it?
me as a being,
Yes.
one second, me as a being, I'm now sanctioning the murder of an animal just for me to get over something that if I looked in nature,
Yes.
I could cure for myself. That's not progression.
Or just relax and have a
But
glass
this,
of water
but this is the
and
thing.
chill out for a
So,
bit,
for
it'll
example,
go away by
like
itself.
cancer is rife now. People have chemotherapy.
Yeah.
Are you going to be like, I don't trust the
Yep.
MRI?
Yep.
Or
Yep.
okay.
Yep. Exactly that.
I wouldn't
Exactly.
take
Go on,
chemotherapy if
that's-
you fucking
that-
paid me.
that wasn't a
Let's
good
go
road to
something
go
else.
down.
No, but in terms of
Especially
if
as they're causing the
okay,
cancer.
do you ever take aspirin?
Yeah.
No.
Do you ever take aspirin?
I'm taking an aspirin for 30 years.
It's old school, man.
I'm talking to a conspiracist right here. So
Conspiracy, that's interesting. Interesting judgment. Wow. Someone's getting a bit defensive.
No. I'm listening.
Chill out, man.
Say you don't take aspirins and the ad hominems.
Let me tell you something. This is a safe place. Everyone's
Wait,
safe.
hold
We're all
on.
friends.
You lot said I can have subjective opinions.
You can, man. You can.
Thank you very much.
So you think for us not to take aspirins,
this is
we're
what
conspiracy
happens.
theorists?
No, but this is what happens when you have subjective opinions, right? It can lead to absurdity.
Well, there was a
Banter,
subtle,
banter.
but just that was a brilliant little interaction because that's where it happens.
Yeah.
We're giving you data about whether or not we've taken aspirins, and you're making the assumption you're under some kind of oh my God, I'm surrounded by.
Yeah.
Now that's the jump for you. We all have it. We all do it. There's a black man, there's a white man, there's a dying animal, there's someone in pain, there's something we can get, there's some money we can make. We're all doing it. And that's the moment of where we've got the ability to achieve serenity. To just go, oh, hang on a minute. Relax. True, false, don't know. Okay, let's just embrace this moment. Because this moment is all we have.
But what do you mean embrace this moment?
Just
It's airy-fairy now, isn't it? Yeah?
Well,
What do you mean by that? Go on.
I didn't come out. Just
Go there, man.
Just
Go
chill
there.
out. There's still a bit of action going on.
Hey.
So, all our history, the way that we got a frame of the world.
Yeah.
So the way that we see the world is based on our traumatic template, based on what's happened to us as kids and da-da-da-da. And if we have parents who are one way, then we'll become that way. My dad looks at an Irishman on the TV, he goes, oh, bloody Irishman.
Yeah.
I'm like, and for years I was like, oh yeah, bloody Irish. And I said, actually, I know a couple of Irish, they're all right. And I said to him, I said, why do you think, and it's because when he was growing up, there were lots of bombs by the IRA and that was all going. And it's like, oh, the bloody Irish. And I said to him, I said, have you ever met any Irish people? He said, yeah, I used to work with a few. I said, what are they like? So, no, really good guys.
Yeah.
But he's got it imprinted on his brain, and he does the same with, he's a bloody Jew.
But then that would go to the theory of multiple attestation, because then you would ask different people who would give you different viewpoints, and then you actually...
Why would their viewpoints be any more valid than yours?
No, but I'm just saying in terms of if you hadn't met someone yourself, you understand, then you would hear...
But people do that with Muslims, people do that with black people.
People get stereotyped from one point of view, but if you actually...
You know, there's loads of people, there's a lot of people that have never met somebody like you, but has so much opinions about you and your lifestyle, and what you are, and your heritage. Yeah. So I mean, it's obviously not something that we encourage, is it?
Yeah, of course. That's why
yet
it's better to get your information
we're back to
from multiple
first
sources.
hand information, first hand evidence. Imperative evidence.
But
That's what we need.
in light of that, then we have to go to the next best thing. Because if we can't take a time machine, if we can't, because it's a process. Step 1, step 2, step 3. If we can't actually test it or go back into the past ourselves, then the next thing is we have to rely on the earlier sources. Whether you want to say are they reliable or not, but it's everything takes stages.
So what you said was we have to rely on.
Well, you don't have to if you don't want to.
This is the point.
Yeah.
So you can see that that's what history is telling us.
Yeah.
So history is written by the victors.
Yeah.
You know, you hear about the British Empire. Yeah. It's like, we don't. Well, what a load of atrocities were actioned there. So what we actually rely on is not the full picture, and we will never know if it is. The full
but that's
picture.
why I say multiple sources. Because if your enemy says something like, if you say you're the victor, and you rose tint whatever happened, but if your opponent is not that agrees with you, then it's more likely to be true rather than because they will give you a counter opinion of what happened.
But why does it happen?
You're assuming they would. They could be honest.
They could.
They could be honest.
But we're talking about in terms of
They could be honest.
likelihood. For example, if you've got your close friends, if they tell you something, you're most likely to be like,
all right. Here's a good example.
Yes.
As a person of I'm assuming African descent, just an assumption. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
I don't know if your family or your lineage was directly involved or affected by the transatlantic slave trade. Can you give me your... Was it? No? Okay. Can you give me your opinion on whether you think it was a good thing?
No.
Okay. Are you aware of people, black people, African people, that believe it was a good thing?
Personally, not personally.
I am.
I think it's a good thing.
Yeah. So what we have here now is we have something that we can all subjectively say was a bad thing. Slavery was a bad thing. Yeah. So why? So then, if you've got a white guy saying, "Oh well, you know, it's a good thing, and you know, we saved these niggas. You know, we saved it. We gave them the Bible, and we saved them, and we scrubbed them up, and we gave them some destiny, and da 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 da." And then you've got another black man saying, "Well, do you know what? If it wasn't for slavery, my people would have been introduced to the Bible, so it was a good thing." So they're now both corroborating the same thing. Are you now going to see that and be like, "Oh look, you've got the oppressor and the oppressed both saying the same thing, so clearly it must have been a good thing."
Yeah, but
it doesn't work
in
like
terms
that.
of people like saying that about
You
the
understand?
Bible, like something good can come from something bad, but it doesn't mean the thing itself was like has to be justified. For example,
all I'm saying is you're going against
for
what you
example,
said,
even if, like the Stephen Lawrence thing, his murder was not a good thing.
Okay.
But you know when you had the reports afterwards,
Bullshit,
in terms of
bag of shit.
exposing like
Did nothing.
no, but at the end of the day,
Bag of shit did
well,
nothing.
at the end of the day,
Bag of shit did
well,
nothing.
It depends.
You're going to have to prove that it did otherwise, because I can give you a list of all the other people that died from the same type of scenarios.
Yeah.
It's not changed anything. The McPherson report ain't done shit.
Yeah.
Like, what has it done? They've made his mama barren, so now she's rubbing shoulders with them, collecting all the money. For like, what's happening?
Well, at the end of the day, his mum's trying to make a difference.
How do you know that? How do you know that? What have you said? Do you know her?
Well, if
Do you know her? Don't make sweeping statements like that, man.
if you're trying to
I know
say,
people that say the opposite, that work in the same realms, work for the same courses, and they say the opposite of Stephen Lawrence's mum. Sorry, I'm not trying to slander anyone. I'm just saying this is truth. This is fact. I know people that say
it's
that's
their opinion.
Their opinion, exactly.
Sure.
And what I mean is fact that they have this opinion.
Sure.
Okay.
You know
And
what I
they're
mean?
closer to
So,
it than-
and they're people that know her.
Okay.
So you're someone that don't know her, and you've got an
It's
opinion.
so
What's it
easy,
based on?
But it's so easy for you, because I would agree with you, but I don't know as much as you do.
Yeah.
To have that experience and
Yeah.
to hear those things and go, something good has come out of it.
Yeah.
And yet, all it is a bunch of shades of grey.
Yeah, yeah.
Because there is good, there is bad, but good and bad in themselves are just judgments.
But the thing is, because he does his gang stuff, right?
It's a gang. It's a gang.
No,
man.
not gang member.
I thought I was a stranger to you. I was trying to blend in. I didn't know you know
This guy.
PaperBoy, man.
Anyway,
You
so for
sly
example,
fox.
like he goes into like communities and whatnot, and sometimes in communities, like people will support something in like spirit, but if something happens to their children, then they're involved.
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
the bad thing triggered the good thing that they'll actually now start getting involved. You
It's like the
understand?
means
But-
at the end.
So
yeah,
what,
exactly.
you're saying this is Christianity then, yeah? Christianity
you
and
could
slavery.
argue- no, but
Is that what you're saying?
I just said in terms of
Slavery
good
was the
things
bad
can come
thing
out-
that triggered the good
things
thing,
can-
which is Christianity.
Yeah. Good things can come out of something bad, but it doesn't necessarily justify the bad things happening. You understand?
Yeah.
So there's two different
Just to
things.
clarify.
Yeah.
Slavery was the bad thing that triggered the good thing, which is Christianity.
Well, obviously, in
Africa.
Yeah, me being a Christian, I would have to take that point of view, like in terms of Christianity being spread. I wouldn't say slavery was justified to spread Christianity. It's a different thing. But I can say from something negative, something positive came out.
I've got a question for you.
I don't agree,
Have,
but
have you got? Do you know people of your? Where are you from? I mean, well, that's not important. Wherever you're from and your peers, do you know?
From England.
Okay, well, but I mean, historically, I don't know. You said he's from Africa, I don't know.
He said he was about. I asked him if he had African heritage.
Don't I look British?
Right.
Yeah?
So have
You
you
look
got?
British.
Have you got?
You do. Still, I'm not even gonna lie.
both
You
look
do. You sound British.
So have you got peers who are not Christians?
Yeah.
Do you think that their quality of life is better or worse than yours?
In terms of
In terms of however you want to frame it.
That's a very difficult question to answer. In terms of like materialism, they can just be as well as me. But in terms of like spiritually within themselves, I cannot like know how someone is within themselves. I know like for me, I'm a very content place in terms of if I go through hardships or whatever, I know my spirituality is sound. But I can't speak for other people because you don't know what people do behind closed doors. You understand or how they feel.
So I'll give you one framework for it.
Yeah.
Happiness.
Yes.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how happy would you say you are?
20.
That wasn't the frame I was giving you, but you're allowed to do that.
Hey.
On a scale of 1 to 10,
Yeah.
your close friends and peers, what would you say they were?
I'd probably say they appear to be like 7,
About
8.
the same as you?
Yeah.
So by your own definition,
Yeah.
I'm just giving it happiness, you being a Christian as opposed to them not being a Christian
doesn't seem to
doesn't
affect their
actually make
happiness.
any difference. So the very thing that slavery has given, which is something that you obviously value for yourself, you've got no way of comparing with if you had not found Christianity and if you were not a Christian. You would just be some bloke who may be an atheist who would then be maybe just as happy.
I would disagree with that because, for example, if you look at things like Pew Research, in terms of people who are religious, actively religious compared to atheists, atheists suffer higher rates of depression.
What research?
Pew Research, or like they do like religious like surveys and stuff like that. So people who are generally more religious suffer less rates of suicide and depression. You understand? Because the thing is, like religious people, because they believe in a God that will get them through that situation, like they say, a man can go through anything as long as he has hope.
Right.
So let me just finish.
No, it's a hope that kills you.
Wait, let me just finish my point. If you look at the statistics of atheists suffer higher rates of depression and higher rates of suicide.
How do we know this? How do we know this?
Compared to people
No. Wait, 1 second.
Data.
Exactly.
Bro,
there's a lot of research.
give me
out
this
there,
data.
basically.
Give me this data and prove to me how they can know that this person is an atheist. How do you know this person is an atheist? How do you know what this person's belief is? Because of a box they ticked. So they ticked a box. Are you depressed? Yes. Are you an atheist? Yes. Is that what you're saying?
Because you can have psychological studies from people who are actually psychologists, and you can engage with like.
You're getting very
This is
general.
murky. This is
So
murky.
so what happens?
Very
The reason why,
it's not factual.
Because I'm saying to you,
Academia
but I'm
allows
saying
you to deal with more fairy tales than somebody like myself.
Research is a very good source
Because it's peer reviewed.
So let me tell you what's happening here. So he's after some specific data.
There's no fact
What
here,
you
what
have,
he's saying.
you don't have that data.
There's no fact.
And that's
not by hand. That's why I said. That's why I said the Pew Research.
That doesn't make you a bad person. You seem like a really good guy. So that's not terrible. But all you need to do is go, I don't know. Rather than get general, because when I ask someone a specific question and they get all general on me, I'm like,
but that's why I said like Pew. I gave you that organisation, one of the key institutions. I can't say it was like David Brown who did this article, but I just like noting the generosity of it. So, but there is a common trend between atheists because
they don't all agree on what
studies on
depression
happiness
is.
and whatnot.
So what about?
Because they call
Catholic or
Christian? Yeah, not Catholic. So like for example, they call religion, for example, the opium of the people, because it gives people like a higher sense of happiness because they believe in a higher purpose, a higher like in terms of God. And
we have a yearning for that.
Yeah.
Because that's why there were pagan gods. That's why there were. We've always been looking for gods. That's why I support a football team. Because you need something bigger than yourself.
And that's why, like for example, the difference between an atheist and a religious person, when they're going through hardships, they'll get on their knees and pray to God, whereas an atheist might have nothing to turn to. They might turn to drink or whatever. That's their only solution in terms of trying to deal with a situation that is beyond their kind of capabilities. But whereas the person places their faith, and it's, as bleak as the situation is, because it's like a mindset as well, you understand? So it puts them in a mind frame that God is going to get them through this certain situation, and that's why you kind of, because if I don't believe in anything, I can't turn to my family or no one can help me, and I'm an atheist, what do I turn to? I turn to depression or end up jumping off a building, you understand? But if
you got some real polarised thinking there, my friend.
No, but this correlates with the statistic that there's high depression rates and suicide rates among atheists, and it's, like you can go and research. Like Pew Research is a very good website because they do a lot of religious studies, and it's not like a Christian website, like a Christian organisation or anything like that. It's just like an independent.
So I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
And actually, I don't expect you to give me a definitive answer, but I'm not going to disagree with you because I think that is probably because I think we are all craving something bigger than ourselves. And the thought there's a bloke up there looking after us and loving us. Wow, that would be lovely to think that. However, that's religion. I think it does a lot of good. How many people have died for religion and because of religious conflict in the history of the planet?
Okay.
Here's my question. So, in terms of the people you're saving from depression and suicide, and the people who are being abused and victimised and hurt because they don't suffer the same religion as you, not you specifically.
But in that Pew review, was it people that were Christians or any faith?
Yeah, most faiths.
So,
I said
was Satanism Was Satanism included in that study?
No, it's generally like the main three.
Abrahamic faith.
Yeah, but then you have a lot of.
So what you're saying
wait,
is,
let
one
me
second.
finish.
What you're saying is,
No, but
the data says that you can believe in any one of the three Abrahamic faiths, and your quality of life will improve.
Well, yeah. First of all, like in terms of religious beliefs, that's why like
The chances of suicide will decrease.
Exactly. Yeah. It's because
So it's not specific to what you believe in or the truth.
No, I didn't say
You're believing in something.
Yeah, first of all, I didn't say it was specific. Like, it has to be Christianity. First of all, I started with like religiousity or whatever.
Religion.
A religion.
Religion. But then when you sometimes look at a lot of meta-analysis where they do it in like Western country like America, so sometimes it does gear towards like Christianity. But there are studies where it's just across the board, like active religious
So what
people.
you're saying is, it doesn't matter whether I'm a Christian or not. Just choose a religion, and I'll be happier.
You'll be happier.
But
Just believe in something.
on the basic foundational level, yes.
I bet you get the same for people with hobbies.
But, yeah.
Those in relationships, those with children. Like, there's always going to be a statistic.
Those who have parents who love them.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
that's
So
a
those
big
with big
one.
dicks.
Yeah, but that's what I'm just
I had to
giving a contrast between atheists, those who don't believe in anything, and those that believe in a higher purpose. You understand?
Yeah, but you can get facts to mean anything you want, really.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
again,
there's so many variables within that.
Yeah,
like,
but then but then you have to be able to know how to interpret data. Like
here you go again. I brought you another one. Entrenched in this academic shit.
My background is actually data, so that's why it's not history.
Okay.
But so I know
Star Trek.
Huh?
You watch Star Trek?
Data. No, it's so
But in terms of, because data can be manipulated very easily, so that's why you sometimes have to look at how the data is utilized. Because sometimes, for example, people can manipulate data in a way to present it in a false manner. So if I said to you, if I said to you, for example, on one street, like 5 houses were burgled.
Lower rates of suicide.
And another street, there was 1,000 houses that were burgled. Initially, you'll think you'd rather live on the street where there was 5 houses, because you think 5 is less than 1,000. But if I told you on that street of 5, where 5 houses were burgled, there was only 10 houses, you'll think that's a 50% rate. But if I said to you on that street where 1,000 houses were burgled, and I said there was 1 million houses on that road, proportionally.
Which road is that?
Huh?
Which road
no,
is
it's a hypothetical. Oh. But in terms of proportion, you'd rather live on a street where 1% of houses are robbed, even though the number is higher.
So that's X and Y, and then Z is over what period of time?
Well, let's say it's the same period, but that's what I'm saying. That's
so
how
you're
people.
Assuming that?
No, all I'm giving you an example is how people can manipulate data. So you have to be able to understand how to interpret.
You did that earlier.
Interpret.
So you're kind of manipulating data.
You're a Christian.
Yeah. What data did I manipulate?
What do you want?
Okay, here's my question. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What country on the planet, right?
Yeah.
That didn't have religion, and when religion came there, it became amazing.
Or better. It's better.
It's better. Yeah.
I have no research on that, so I couldn't answer you that. I haven't investigated.
Hang on, there's no data.
I'm giving you slavery. Hold on. I'm giving you something to investigate. Think about that. What country is like? You have to bear in mind.
Yeah, but he said before and after.
Yeah, exactly.
So I would have to compare the before and
after.
after.
My point is.
So you believe that there was an Africa pre-Christianity?
Yeah, of course not.
Of course, Africa existed pre.
Yeah, you do, yeah. So like we were talking about the slavery. Slavery being a bad thing. Yeah, but it brought something good, which you said was Christianity. You agreed was Christianity. So that must mean that if you brought something good to a land, that's improved the circumstance.
That's
so it's not improved.
I didn't say
it
improved the circumstance.
It's just good.
I said it was a good thing.
But it's not. But maybe no improvement.
Huh?
But
my subjective opinion. My subjective.
It's bad for the
opinion.
other 5 million people who experienced it.
Well, yeah, but then based on that, I would have to actually look at like the core information and make a comparison to give a well kind of grounded opinion.
Which is by definition impossible.
Because that's why I go by the principle that I stand on. If I make an opinion on something, I would have to at least analyse what.
What's your purpose of being here today?
What's my purpose? To engage in discussions and
have a laugh.
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So Speaker's Corner. So I come to engage, debate, learn.
But isn't that like an interesting thing to say that? People were living, doing whatever that we don't know.
Yeah.
And then you bring this thing along.
Yeah.
It doesn't improve nothing.
Yeah.
But to the individuals who decide to take a certain way, it improves whatever they want to improve.
Well,
but collectively, it does nothing.
Well, in terms of, like, I can't say necessarily empirically because I haven't looked at the empirical studies, but in terms of improving them, if I believe in a God and an afterlife, then if it's given these people an afterlife, then it has improved their eternality.
What was it improved?
Eternality in terms of life after death.
No, but that's hypothetical. What does it prove in their
that's why I say
education, their politics? What does it involve, the day-to-day stuff that me and you will go through?
Yeah.
So I give you an example, right? Yeah. There's policies I was put in Britain that allowed me and you to talk to these beautiful gentlemen here, right? Because prior to that, it was just fuckers. You know on that side, us on this side, right? Has religion done anything of that sort, where people were in a distraught space or we're not getting along, and when we all took on this religion, we all just got along and it was beautiful? Well, if it's not doing that, because this is what religion claims to do, by the way.
But
it's
that's what I haven't
be the way, truth, and the light now.
Yeah, I haven't researched it before and after, so I couldn't give a very well-educated answer on that. So that's why I was.
So what would be your reason for telling people to believe in Jesus Christ? What would be your reason?
But Jesus Christ is a personal thing, so it's not necessarily.
Well, like, would you naturally? They'll say religious people will encourage other people to become religious, right? What would be your personal reason for telling someone like me, for example, who's not Christian or religious for that matter, to follow Christ?
Well, the very strictest thing would be if you believe in an afterlife and you believe in heaven and hell. The question is, where do you want to go? That would be my basic fundamental premise. Yes.
Alright, but what if there was things in the Bible that was already pre-existing to the Bible?
Well, in terms of it depends on what you're talking about. So, for example, like you had the Ten Commandments and some of the laws afterwards. Yes, there are naturalistic truths that were general to everyone.
Well, we can find some of those 10 laws in other scriptures.
Yeah, but these were kind of like universal, or you might even call them the Noahide laws that are kind of universal that were kind of, and even in the Bible it says that God did implant these things in people, so it wasn't necessarily just exclusive to the Hebrew or the Israelites or anything. Like, there were like universal things that people, because if you look at like Hermeticism, they have like, I think the 42 laws of math. Some of them, like a few of them.
So what's the use of Christianity right now? What's the use of it?
And so in terms of societal value, I think we can see now in terms of the whole breakdown in society, like we've shifted from a very Christian state to a more kind of liberalised, progressive liberal kind of generalised society. Now kind of like you've seen, for example, the breakup of marriages, which has in turn an effect on single parent families.
This is due to not people being religious, by the way.
Huh? Well, you said Christianity.
Sorry, not being Christian. Sorry, this is due to not being Christian. If you're Christian,
well, in terms of looking at this country,
in this country,
which was more of a Christian country, and it's kind of become more liberalised.
So you say Christian, so I can just understand where you're coming from, right? Because if we don't know the terms we're talking about, then we get lost in the argument, right? Yeah. So you're saying that more Christian country. What did a more Christian country look like?
Well, I would say in terms of, for example, like the institution of marriage, the sanctity of marriage, understand? It's like now people, for example, kind of do as they please, you have affairs. People don't take...
that's due to... I'm saying, are you saying that's due to people not being Christian?
In terms of this country, yes.
So the problems we have in this country as now is that we've moved away from Christianity.
Yeah. I'm just talking about this country.
Do you know what period in time in history that Christianity was at its highest point, where it was dominant? Do you know? In this country. What's about this country in the touch you're talking about?
I couldn't say...
The Middle Ages.
Okay.
Middle Ages was the time Christianity specifically was at the highest point.
So in terms of the history, you probably need to speak to Bob or something.
No, I'm not going deep into it. I'm just going right
now. It's also the time when women suffered the greatest abuse.
We'll get there. We're going to tread there. We're going to tread there. I know you are. We're going to step in there.
Like I said, in terms of...
You mentioned data earlier, right?
Yeah.
So I'm always interested when people take on something and they haven't looked at the parameters of what they're looking into. Right now you say you're Christian, but I'm just giving you something simple. Like the highest point of Christianity, women were being witches for just having a brain.
Little girls were being burned at the stake.
This is Christianity's highest. In fact, at that point in time, you have to, because when you say more Christian country, I'm trying to address, when you say more Christian country, I think when you said it had a more mindset of it was better. I'm like, no, it wasn't. And the reason why this country's moved from there to here is not because it was Christian. It's because it was liberal. It's because people opened their mind to say, instead of black versus white, we're human beings. That's a liberal thought. That's not a Christian thought. Do you
But the thing is, yeah. So I mean, I would only mine would probably be in the last 100 years or so.
You ignore the rest of them.
Just because I'm not like as well versed in that period, so I would just be like nodding my head.
You should. If you're a Christian, you really should.
Yeah, of course, everything.
Before you make a statement like we become more liberal.
But if you want to go down,
that's wrong.
Yeah, but
the fact that you don't even know it makes you wrong.
No, but in terms of
it's part of,
in terms of like, for example, within the last 100 years or so, when we see kind of like Christian values in terms of the structure of the family, like. Even, for example, like a lot of studies, for example, even in the black community, they show that kids who come from Christian backgrounds, they do better in school and they're more stable in life, you understand, compared to those who aren't.
What are Muslims?
Huh?
What are Muslim black kids?
It probably will apply for them as well, like in terms of because it's based on the Abrahamic faith, so there's certain value principles that are established. We can't get away from that, you know, because they, in terms of like respect or like in terms of relationships or whatever.
You know a lot of the gang members come from Christian families, you know that, right? Who? You know a lot of the gang members come from Christian families, you know that, right?
Yeah, but there's difference between like, you can obviously have people that detract as well. I in terms of like aggregate data.
Sorry, what's the detraction? What's the detraction? What you just said?
Like in terms of people can like leave the faith or whatever.
No.
If their parents are Christian, you're saying
about,
that the gang members come from...
Yeah, because I do gang intervention and youth centers. A lot of these young people come from solid. Their fathers are pastor type solid.
But this is the thing, right? If you look at the aggregate data on it, rather than small cases,
did you run the data yourself?
No.
Oh, these are studies we're reading, right?
These are studies that are done already.
Okay, let's assume.
So you would know
study
that
has a 50%. Let's assume it has a 50%. We gotta assume because when you didn't do it, bro, we gotta believe, you know?
Yeah, but this is challenging.
You know what I'm saying?
Data is reliable.
Exactly.
No, that's what he's saying.
No, I didn't say that.
I'm saying to
in
you
this case.
Yeah, but he's saying 50-50.
I mean, it has to be because when you didn't take the study.
No, but that's what I've been hearing all day. No data is
word.
reliable, so we cannot establish any sort
You're
of...
the one that always brings the data in it. I'm saying, bro, everyday life that you live, this is not data. Everyday life that we live.
Because your everyday life is subjective. Like, for example, you might see black kids getting killed in your hood, your area. I can go to another area where there's a black person, he doesn't see anything. So we're going to get two different opinions. So what we have to do is aggregate both of your views.
No, bro, like, I grew up in this world, bro, not in one estate. I grew up in the world.
Based on what you see.
I understand that.
Yes.
So what we can see, right, is what we can see, is what we study, is what we observe.
Okay.
Do you understand?
But what you observe is very limited.
Do you understand what we observe?
Yeah.
Right? So now if we look at exactly, if you grow up in the world, it doesn't take you much to look at the world and say it's fucked. Does it take you much to do that? Do you have to go far? No, you don't. You just have to just look around in your neighborhood.
That's a judgment.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And just make a judgment like, actually, the way the system's sorted out, where we are, it's fucked. Because this is not how society really should be patting itself out, right? So what I'm saying is, if we just take away aggregation and data and all these kind of things, and the reason why I say take away,
because if we don't have any data, we have subjective opinions.
I'll tell you why I say that. Because even the people making the data is subjective, bro. Even the ones making the data is subjective. Because they went into an experiment with a hypothesis, right? So you have to go that. That's prejudgment, bro.
But you have to test your hypothesis.
I know. Whether it was
come take over everything from your melody.
Come, man, say it straight. Man, don't listen to BBC. Man, don't listen to ITV. Listen.
For example, I'm intrigued. I'm asking this because I'm intrigued. How does it work for you guys? Like, for example, me personally, I got married about 2 years ago. Yeah. How does the marriage process work for us? Like, for us, it's very strict. Yeah. So, for example, we can't go on dates. Yeah. So it doesn't work. Like me, if I want to get to know somebody, I have to go through the father. How does it work? Because I watched a documentary on this. But how does
it is complicated.
Yes.
Obviously, there are certain, under normal circumstances, one shouldn't even socialise with a woman.